Well, we have a ton of great TV on DVD releases this month, so I'm going to jump right into things with one of my favorite shows from the 80s, Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And I hope most of you remember this show because it really was great, but in case you don't, I'll fill you in on it. Young Bruce Boxleitner co-stars with Kate Jackson after Charlie's Angels. He plays a spy, she plays the housewife mom who gets sucked into the spying business as his sort of partner in crime. She plays the cover wife slash girlfriend slash mistress that he needs to go into dangerous situations. It's kind of a fun action comedy show, and it was really a show that was extremely popular in my household when I was a kid. Now, of course, as with everything from the 80s, it has not aged as well as it could have in terms of the hairstyles and clothing are kind of painful to look at, and some of the action sequences aren't, it's not 24. It's a little more of that choreographed kind of fake punch type of stuff, but it's still a fun show. And the center of it really is the relationship and the chemistry between Bruce Boxleitner and Kate Jackson, which still holds up. It's fun to watch the two of them. I've always been a big Bruce Boxleitner fan, going back to Scarecrow and Mrs. King, and when you watch the show, it's easy to see why. So, Scarecrow and Mrs. King, the complete second season, a little aged, but still worth picking up. Next up, we have 3 new Mystery Science Theater 3000 collections from Shout Factory. I'm a little confused as to why they chose to release them this way, but what we have are MST3K Volume 20, and then 2 single releases, The Beginning of the End and the Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies. Now, each of those 2 single releases is about a 90-minute film, and it's just the one film, and it's done in the usual MST3K style. There are no extra features to speak of. But Mystery Science Theater 3000 Volume 20 is the usual box set, 4 films on 4 DVDs. The films include Project Moonbase, Master Ninja 1, Master Ninja 2, and The Magic Voyage of Sinbad. On top of that, you get a bunch of bonus features, including a new introduction by Trace Beaulieu, pardon me if I'm saying that wrong, a new interview with Master Ninja star Bill McKinney, Tom Servo versus Tom Servo 2010, that's a live Q&A panel from DragonCon, Exploring the Look of MST3K, a featurette with the director of photography from the show, Mystery Science Theater Hour wraps, and 4 exclusive mini posters, which I know have become a very popular bonus feature in the MST3K world. So, that is a lot of MST3K for fans out there. As always, a relatively fun show. Not as funny to me as it used to be, but still worth watching. Definitely in this case, I would say to pick up the box set, a lot more bang for your buck there. But I did have a pretty good fun time with the Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies as well. How can you not with a title like that? Next we have Matlock, the 6th season. Now, Matlock, the 6th season is notable. Why? Because on the cover, Matlock is playing a banjo. That's pretty much the only really notable reason I could come up with. It's 6 seasons in, and it's typical Matlock. It's kind of one of those things where it's become a punchline for shows about old people or shows for old people, and it kind of is. But it's kind of one of those shows. It's hard to pick on Matlock. Andy Griffith is great. He's really good in this show, even if the show itself isn't all that great. And it also hasn't aged that well, even though it's not as old as Scarecrow and Mrs. King. There are no extra features on the DVD set. It's 18 episodes on 6 discs, a 2-hour season premiere, and a 2-hour season finale. Makes it a little bit more like 20 episodes. But it's Matlock, it's Andy Griffith. You know if you like it or if you don't. If you do, it's worth picking up. Next up from the BBC, we have The Sarah Jane Adventures, the complete 3rd season. Sarah Jane Adventures is a show it took me a little while to warm up to. It's kind of like a Doctor Who light. I believe it's aimed at younger viewers, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. It didn't really kind of grab me as much as Doctor Who proper did. That being said, I have warmed up to the show. I do enjoy it now. I find it to be a lot of fun. I kind of like that it's a Doctor Who light because it's sort of, it doesn't require as much thinking necessarily, and it doesn't try and keep the plot details is obscured. Doctor Who sometimes likes to keep you guessing, make you think until the end of the episode, whereas Sarah Jane Adventures is a little more straightforward. This 3rd season is notable because it includes the Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith episode, which features special appearances by K9 and Doctor Who himself, David Tennant, in his final appearance as Doctor Who. So that is a nice bonus, and if you are a Doctor Who fan and you're a completist, you kind of have to have this set because it's the very last David Tennant Doctor Who appearance there was. So that's pretty cool. Not much in the way of special features. There's an audiobook excerpt from a Sarah Jane Adventures book called The White Wolf, and that is about it. Next up, there are 4 new DVD releases of Doctor Who from the BBC. There's a pretty cool collection. The first one is Doctor Who the Movie Special Edition featuring Paul McGann. Then we have Doctor Who The Ark with William Hartnell, Doctor Who The Seeds of Doom with Tom Baker, and Doctor Who The Mutants with Jon Pertwee. Now what I like about this is they've released 4 discs with 4 different Doctors. You know, a lot of times it seems like they dump Tom Baker discs left and right. And Tom Baker's fine as the Doctor, but he's not always my favorite. I like to shake it up a little. I have very little experience with the William Hartnell years, so it's kind of nice to go back and see some of those episodes in black and white, you know, crazy kind of stuff. I like Jon Pertwee a lot as the Doctor, even though he's not the most popular of all of them. And Paul McGann was basically barely known as the Doctor, so seeing him in the movie is a neat treat. What's nice about the movie special edition is a two-disc set, a ton of extra features, commentaries, making of, documentaries, all sorts of things. You can't even imagine how much stuff is on this disc. And all of them are features packed as well. The Mutants includes a ton of extra features, audio commentaries, a number of making of featurettes, even DVD-ROM materials. The Seeds of Doom, likewise, a number of things, making of featurettes, audio commentaries with Tom Baker. That's always nice. And then even The Ark, which is the oldest story, and this is Doctor Who story number 23, includes extras, commentary not with William Hartnell, but with actor Peter Purves, director Michael Imison, and Toby Haydock. There's a couple of featurettes, shorter ones on this one. It's not hours and hours of material on this, but you probably get, not counting the commentary, about an hour's worth of extra features. So really, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you know, pick your favorite Doctor, grab one of the new releases, and sit back, watch the show, and watch all the extra features as well. Next up, we have Blue Murder, the complete collection from Acorn Media. This is a 9-disc set. It's 4 seasons worth of the show. And Blue Murder has drawn some comparisons to Prime Suspect. It's a little different. It focuses a little more on the kind of mix between police work and the personal life of Detective Chief Inspector Janine Lewis. Now, I'd never heard of this show really before it came across my desk, but as with so much of the British television that I talk about here at the site, this is a terrific show. It is kind of an intense show. You know, the crimes that the detective focuses on are not the most pleasant ones, shall we say. They're a little bit more gruesome than the usual crimes, but that's part of what makes the show interesting. You know, she's kind of this tough character, but also plays the mom to the kids at home, and sort of watching the balance between that is what keeps the show interesting. I should note the lead actress in the show is Caroline Quentin, and I don't really know her from much, but I will say she is excellent in the show. Definitely a big part of why it works as well as it does. Not a ton of bonus features for such a big set. It's 19 episodes on 9 discs. The only extra features are text interviews with a couple of the stars. There's one making of documentary and then some cast filmographies. So not a ton of bang for your buck, but still worth checking out. Next up is Single-Handed Set 1. This is kind of a fun show, another British television show from Acorn Media, and it's 3 feature-length crime dramas, so they're kind of like TV movies, and it's about Sergeant Jack Driscoll, played by Owen McDonald, who, of course, is terrific. I don't think the BBC shows ever have bad actors in them, and it's kind of like this rural Ireland coastal town type of thing, where he is basically a lone police officer who has to solve crimes in sort of the small town setting, and you know, small town stuff brings its own set of unique challenges with it. It's an interesting show. It's kind of a neat, you know, mysteries. It sort of reminds me a little bit of like an Irish version of the Jesse Stone mysteries. That's not entirely the most accurate description, but it sort of fits. It has a similar vibe, I'll say. But it's a really interesting show, some good mysteries, and it's definitely worth watching, as is so much of the British television that comes across my desk. Finally, we have Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Seasons 1 through 3, and Highway to Heaven, Season 1. Now, these are new releases from A&E, but I use the word new sparingly because basically they're re-releases. Both of these shows have been released on DVD before, and so what you get is every episode of the seasons, but in just new packaging. So Dr. Quinn Season 1 gives you 17 episodes, Season 2 gives you 24 episodes, and Season 3 gives you 25 episodes. Meanwhile, Highway to Heaven Season 1 gives you 24 episodes. These are 6 and 7 disc sets, which is great. You do get some extra features as well. There's biographies, there's documentaries, cast filmography is included. There's commentary track on 1 or 2 episodes in Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, including one with Jane Seymour. There's a double episode included. Highway to Heaven gives you a feature-length documentary about Michael Landon, some outtakes, and some text biographies. But again, this is all stuff that was available on the original discs. Now they're just cheaper, and they're newly available, so you might find them in the store on your block.